Hey everyone, and welcome. Have you ever wondered what makes a great story, well, great? Today, we're going to pull back the curtain, look right under the hood, and check out the blueprint that's behind basically every amazing story you've ever loved.
So let me ask you something. What could an ancient myth, one told around a fire thousands of years ago, possibly have in common with the latest summer blockbuster you just saw? The answer is, well, it might surprise you. They share a kind of DNA, a universal structure that makes stories hit us right where we live.
Okay, so before we start taking that DNA apart, let's make sure we're all on the same page. What even is a story? At its most basic, it's just an account of how stuff happens that changes someone who's trying to get something done. That journey, that transformation, that's what gets us excited, and it's what teaches us things. All right, think of it this way. If storytelling is like building a house, then every great story is built from just a few essential materials. Let's dive into those core ingredients, the five, absolutely essential building blocks for any story. And here they are. You've got characters, setting, plot, conflict, and theme. That's it. These are the big five, and I mean it. Every single story you've ever come across, from your favorite book to that show you just binged, is built using this exact list. So first up, you've got the who, the characters. I mean, these guys are the absolute lifeblood of the story, right? They're the people or, creatures that we follow, that we root for, and sometimes that we root against. You've got your hero, your villain. These are the ones we connect with. It's all about that emotional human connection. Next, you gotta ask where and when is all this happening? That, my friends, is this setting. And listen, it is so much more than just a pretty background. It's the world, the atmosphere, the time and place actually shape what happens and who the characters become. I mean, just think about it. A story in a shiny futuristic city is gonna feel totally different than one in a spooky medieval castle, right? Okay, now for the what. What actually happens? That's the plot. It's the sequence of events, the roadmap the story follows from start to finish. You can think of it like the skeleton holding the whole thing up. And trust me, we're going to see just how crucial this is for keeping you on the edge of your seat. But let's be real. A person in a place with a sequence of events? That's not necessarily interesting, is it? So what's the secret sauce? It's conflict. This is the why of the story. It's the engine, the central struggle, the big problem our characters have to face. Honestly, our brains are just wired to lean into problems. So without conflict, you got no tension. And if you have no tension, you really don't have a story. And finally, we get to the big idea. This is the theme. This is the heart, the soul of the story. It's that deeper message, about love or loss or courage that the story is really trying to get at. It's the thing that sticks with you long after you finish the book or the movie is over. Okay, so we have our five ingredients, but just having them sitting there isn't enough. How do you actually get the car moving? Let's zoom in on the two parts that really act as the engine of the story. Plot and conflict. This is the dynamic duo, the 1-2 punch that really drives the whole thing forward. You see, a really great plot isn't just a random bunch of stuff happening. It has a shape, a satisfying curve that our brains just love. It starts with the beginning, the setup. Then things get tense during the rising action. It builds and builds until, bam, the climax. That's the peak. After that, things start to wind down in the falling action, which leads us to the resolution at the end. It's that journey, the familiar path that makes a story feel so complete. And here's something cool about conflict. It really only comes in two main flavors. You've got your external conflict. That's a struggle against something on the outside. Hero versus villain, person versus a hurricane, or even person versus the whole system. But then you've got internal conflict. And that's the battle that happens right inside a character's head. The classic person versus self struggle. Just think about this for a second. A story about a talented person held back by fear. See, the bad guy here isn't some dude in a black hat. The villain is the fear inside them. It's their own inner demons. And honestly, that's often the most powerful and relatable kind of fight there is. All right, so we've got the blueprint. We understand the parts. Now let's go out into the wild and see this thing in action. We're going to see how these core elements mix and match to create all the different types of stories we see every day. And I'm telling you, you will see this blueprint everywhere. From those ancient folktales and myths that are like the foundation of our cultures, to the punchy, focused power of a short story, all the way up to those huge, sprawling novels with a million different plot lines. The package might look different, but the core ingredients, they're always there. Let's play with a classic concept. How about this? A poor person finds a ton of money. Instantly, your brain starts working, doesn't it?
You're already picturing the character, how their world changes, and all the new problems, both external and internal, that money's going to cause. See? The blueprint is already there, baked right into the idea.
Or how about this one? A journey interrupted by disaster. I mean, the plot is literally spelled out for you. The conflict is crystal clear. It's person versus nature, or maybe person versus fate, and boom, the stakes are instantly sky high for whoever's on that trip. And this isn't just about made-up stories. Think about the most powerful true stories you know. Stories of incredible resilience, like the one we see in Anne Frank's diary. It uses these exact same elements to show us something so profound about the human spirit, facing a conflict that is almost impossible to imagine.
Heck, even the simplest stories we learned as kids, like The Lion and the Mouse, are built on this exact same framework. In that one, the theme, the big idea that kindness matters and even the little guy can be a hero, that's the whole point. And it's delivered perfectly using character, plot, and a super clear ending.
Okay, so we've taken the blueprint apart, we've seen how the engine works. So what's next? Well, now it's your turn.
So here's the big thing to remember from all of this. Every single story that has ever grabbed you, that's ever made you feel something, from a simple bedtime story to a massive Hollywood blockbuster, uses this exact same blueprint. Now you have the tools to see it, to understand how they work, and what's even cooler, you can start using them to build your own.
So whether you're thinking about a huge, epic story about a hero's resilience, or, I don't know, the surprisingly dramatic life of a single pencil, from a tree in a forest to the last word it ever writes, the rules are exactly the same. The only question left is, what story are you going to tell?